Good evening and welcome back to Allergic to Stupidity. Just trying a different approach. Make you look twice. Today's chit chat, I don't know really. It was a quiet day in the house. I thought honestly I was having my 20-year-old home all day. That didn't happen. Turned out he had to go to work. That's fine. Loves his job. So I've been potzing around and working on my other channel and rearranging my office as I acclimatize to not being in the classroom full time and back to being 100% self-employed and tutoring and etc. 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 So though I will concede, if a school offers me a job, I will take it. Because I miss the classroom. I miss the energy the kids give me and the energy they get off. It's hilarious watching teenagers. So I just started thinking, what could I chit chat about today? And mine is I like to try things and see what happens. And anybody in this house just rolls their eyes and goes, okay, she's at it again. But they get on it, get in on it. Like it's just, I have one of those Dollarama bins. This one's red. And I said, okay, guys, I came up with the idea in September. And I said, you know what? Let's really see how bad the cost of living is. Let's just see how much we pay. The only thing we can compare with is food, because all the rest of my bills are an automatic. Like at my hydro, as I've taken it and divided it into 12 equal months from last year, add 10% for cost of living increases. And that's how much I pay my hydro company. And if I end up ahead at the end of the year, hey, that's great. That's how much less I have. I have a hybrid, so my gas is pretty unreasonable. And if I drive by, nothing's more frustrating than filling up today at 5 cents less. And then it goes up the next day going, yes, I beat it. And then 2 days later, it's even cheaper. I just go with the flow. So the one thing we could check was money. How much money am I spending on food? So I was going to say, let's take October and let's just save all our receipts in October and see how much it costs. Just see how really bad it is. Because there is 4 or 5 of us buying groceries in this house all the time. Then my 20-year-old went, well, why don't we do it for 3 months? I went, okay, if you guys are on board. And even my tenant, who, to get the picture more complete, those are people who personally know me will know the situation. But one of my tenants is actually my ex-husband. Okay, and he is he's a pussycat. Just a minute, you're gonna say hello. Dear, this is Wolf, and yes, at the time it was an 18-year-old who named him, and we had a dog in the house, so he had to name a silly name. But he's such a wolf. He just fits the name. But he wants outside. Okay. There we go. Off you go. Yeah, both of you. And then I got mine. Mine's named Corby. And she's named after a village I taught in thingy. Anyways, back to my tenant, who is my ex-husband. And yes, he rents a room from me because he used to work in Burlington, but his girlfriend's up in Markham. So it's just not. We were sort of halfway in between. And he jumped on board. He went, yeah, okay, I can do that. He's got no problems with me doing these kind of things. So this is October's. And this doesn't count people stopping in for Tim Hortons. This doesn't count my tenant, taking himself out for supper. Or one of my other tenants, or any of them taking themselves out. This is just money for food spent in this house. And for October, it was $913, roughly. So now we start the second bin to see what November's going to be. Now, personally, I don't know that this was the best 3 months to pick because October has Thanksgiving. We have a meal or sort of meal for Remembrance Day because, like I've mentioned, Remembrance Day is a big deal for me. More ways than one. And then Christmas, December we have a meal for putting the tree up. We have Christmas itself. And then I have the groceries I'd be buying for New Year's Day, right? So those 3 months may not have been the best 3 months to pick, but we just thought it would give us a really good idea of where we're spending money. Now, in not my defense, but in defense of other people who go, oh my God, I spend so much more. I buy very little that's pre-made. My 20-year-old loves to cook. Now that I'm flipping back into being self-employed, between being a landlady and my channels and tutoring and producing stuff for an educational manufacturer, like it's called TES, Teachers Educational System out of the UK. So I publish stuff on that. I'm getting back into, I want to do something from scratch. So my fall soup is butternut squash, and I add a little onion, and I add a little carrot, and I add little things like that. So we buy a lot of things from scratch. And so I find when I'm looking at these YouTubers who are about frugal life and frugal this and frugal that, I look at their stuff and go, well, if you didn't buy pre-made cake mixes, you might find it cheaper. And then I have an aversion to making lots of bakery things because I'll eat it. And I don't need it, because now being basically self-employed, I'm a whole lot more sedentary than I was. So I try to avoid it. So having said that, will be interesting to see how my how much money I spent on groceries over the next 3 months. Though I do like to bake for Christmas. The next one is, now some of you may not know what it is, but it's a russet apple, and it's not the stereotypical colored apples. It's not the red and the yellow. It's a greeny apple. It's a smaller apple, but it's got such a beautiful tart flavor and makes a wonderful apple pie. And though I'm going to concede right now, because I know she's listening, my sister makes a better apple pie or any pie than I ever do. But it's almost got a yellowy extra layer to the russet apple, to the point that when people see me eating it, they go, ooh, it's gone rusty. So the kids and I have always called them rusty apples. Okay. Well, a year ago, my youngest said, oh, Mom, I was up at this orchard and I got russet apples. I haven't had russet apples since Popsy was alive. And I went, where did you get it? Because I can't get russet apples because they're not popular in the local grocery stores. That's not happening. They don't happen. And I had no other orchards around that I knew grew russet apples. So she told me where it was, and I ran up and I bought it. And I even asked them, can I buy seedlings, like russet apples that are this big? And she said, no. We only grow the apples themselves, and we only sell those. That's what we sell. So I ate my russet apples. The kids, everybody in the house ate their russet apples and thoroughly enjoyed them. And then I got online and researched 2 or 3 ways. Don't go with one website. Go for 2 or 3. And if you're doing anything with gardening, make sure you pick a Canadian one, because what works down in California is not going to work here, let alone what's not going to work up north. It's not happening. So I did it. I put the seeds, I let the seeds dry a bit, and then I put it in paper towel and I wrapped it up, got it wet, and I put it in a Ziploc bag. I hate Ziploc bags. And I slid it in the fridge with rusty apples on it, which was humorous because my tenant, my ex, kept going, Bev, what's the rusty? Oh, right, it's the apples. And I opened, it said give it 6 weeks. I gave it 6 weeks, and I opened it up, and they had warned me it's about 1 seed out of 10 that actually germinates. Germination with apple seeds is not as prolific as we'd like to think. Dear old Johnny Appleseed gave us that concept, but they don't germinate as quickly as you think. And yeah, hot chocolate again tonight. So I opened it up, and I had 2 or 3 that were starting to germinate. I was like, yes. So I took those 2 or 3 out, and I planted them in a little pot. And they're going to be in a pot in my house for probably 4 or 5 years. And I'm not even sure why, but I put the rest of them back in the Ziploc bag and threw it back in the fridge. I don't know why, because I had the 2 or 3. I was only looking to germinate one. And then I did what I really should do more often, is I deep cleaned my fridge. And I deep cleaned it and went, what's this stupid Ziploc bag? Because by that time I had forgotten completely about this. And I went, right. And I opened it up and there was 8 or 9 more of these seeds that had germinated. So out of the 15 or 20, I lucked in and got probably 12 of them that germinated. Now, of the first set that I planted, one survived. It's still alive and still a thing. And the next set, then I pulled them out. I just pulled out 6 or 7 that were still that had germinated really well and they weren't starting to die. The roots weren't starting to die. And I planted those in a bigger pot. And then one of my cats, not the one I just showed you, but a littler one, decided she was going to eat 2 of them. So while I started with 6, I ended up with 4. Yeah. Because I had 5 in the big pot and she ate 2. So that left me 3. And then I had the one from before. So here is my russet plant. And he sits on my kitchen counter so I can keep my little cat, Corby, away from them. Because for some stupid reason she likes to eat these things. Don't know why. And there it goes. Now having said that, I've also found a place just outside of where one of my kids lives that will ship me. They're not in soil, they're rooted. I think they call them rooted. Basically, the dirt's all over. And they say that one transplants better and it has a greater rate of success at continuing to survive. So, only because this little cute one, I've got 4, it's great. It's going to take 20 years before. So that gives me a reason to live, to be whatever, so I can pick apples off my own tree. So I was going to get one that is actually a seedling, like they're about this high. And they tell me from this nursery that it will start to produce apples about 6 or 7 years after I've planted it. So it's like, yeah, they're warning the general public that this isn't instant. You're not going to plant a tree this spring and get apples this fall. It does take a while, and that's fine. It'll still be once I start from seed. So I just thought that was like one of my beings, cutesy, the little girl that never grew up and likes to figure out how everything happens and get down on my hands and knees and do it myself. So with that in mind, the next thing was, as you may have clued in, I'm annoyingly environmentally oriented. I just like my outside. Now, if you're not in Canada or in one of the larger communities in Canada, if you don't have a Sobeys, I don't know where you're going to get this. But these are literally produce bags. Now, there's a catch with them. Not really a catch with them, but for some people. So I like them because nobody in my house is a big fruit, like this kind of fruit eater. They're just not. So if I go buy a bag of fruit, most of them it's gonna go rotten. So Sobeys, give them a thing out, sells these in packs of 4. And they come in 2 different sizes. I can get a bigger size. And they just fold up really nicely and they do their little thing. Now, this is where I say there's a catch. If you're me, it's not a big deal. And it's not a big deal because that's my purse. Thank you to my daughter. Okay? So please note, I swore to God when my kids finished growing up and they hit teenagehood, I was not going to have a big purse ever again because I was so tired of carrying little people's things. Mommy, carry my toy. Mommy, carry my toy. Grandma, carry my toy. I give my ex. His pockets were wonderful. He never asked me to carry anything. So it comes in a little bag like this, and there's 4 in the bag. Okay? That's it, right? They're great. So this is where I say the catch is. It's not a catch for me. Actually, it's quite humorous because we go to the grocery store, the boys are with me, the lady at the counter, the cashier at the counter, would you like bags? And the boys almost simultaneously go, nope, they're in her bag. And this is why. It's because these are my bags. Literally. They pull out, there's a bag, quick as that. My groceries go in it. I'm not one for going and buying $300 worth of groceries at a time. I very much from the experience of living in England, you buy what you need as you're going home, and you never buy excessive. Like we're in North America, oh, that's a really good deal, so we'll buy like a big container of whatever because that's a really good deal. Oh, and we'll keep it for tomorrow. So you ever watch couponers or people like that down in the US where they will have stock rooms, like their basement is nothing but shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves and shelves of these wonderful deals, with me quietly going, that's just going to go bad before you get a chance to use it. So just a habit I picked up. I never buy, like I said, $200 or $300 worth of groceries. So these little guys that sit nicely in my purse, at the bottom of my purse, is great. It's perfect. And the only other thing I have to have in my purse is my wallet and my key, because my newer car, so it's remote control. I just hit the button. I don't have to turn a key. But I have to have the key close by. And everything's there. So I really like them. So there's another idea, which is not really which plan I was going to go with today, or chit-chat about today. But just, I talked about yesterday about the little clippies. Now, if you go to Sobeys and you want to find these little produce bags, do yourself a favor, because literally, this is another environmentally friendly, these things are attached just like this. There's no other wrappings to it at all. They're attached here, and there was a little tag that said like where it was manufactured and how much the cost was, but that's it. So there was no extra packaging around it, which reinforces the idea of being environmentally friendly. And the catch was, I opened one day to say, oh, and the little tag said 4 in there, said pack of 4. I went, oh, that's interesting. And I wanted to see if there was a variety of sizes. And I pulled it out and went, interesting, and called the guy over and said, this pack only has 2 in it. He said, yeah, it happens all the time. Because it's not sealed, people can just quietly open up, take one out, fill it with the produce they want, and then go through the cash. And the cash isn't going to know. They're going to assume you've paid for it from before you've brought it back in. So I am to know. I was just looking at them because I don't like buying gimmicky things and I want to think about it. And I went, okay. He says, did you want? I said, no, I'm just looking at them. I wanted to check them out, etc., etc. So when I did decide to actually buy it, going, okay, I'm going to bite the bullet, pay the whatever, I think $7 or $8 for it. I opened my package, the bigger bag that carries them all, to make sure all 4 were in there. And I had a couple of packages. No, one package that had absolutely none. It was just literally this green bag, and that was it. None of the little ones are in there. And I dropped it off at the front cashier, and she said, yeah, it happens all the time. Which is like, why can't people just be fucking honest? Anyways, there's my little chat for the day. My little office is a little warmer today, so no wrappy blankets things. Just my cup of coffee and my candle burning in the back. And I have to take my tree back downstairs. But so it's going to be interesting to see how it does over the winter. And I will keep you up on how much how much I've spent on each month. Like I said, I spent $900, or the household spent $900 on groceries for October. It does include Thanksgiving. But still, with what I've heard people crying the blues about on what it costs for groceries, I figured I did really well. It only hit $900. But having said that, that doesn't include like my tenant who goes out for breakfast, lunch, and dinner a lot. And another one of my tenants, she tends to eat. She works at a Timmy's as a second job, and she tends to eat there. And one of my guys, he's always on the road, so he's dashing out the door first thing in the morning, hasn't had anything to eat. I think his stomach starts to growl because he's like me. We have to remind ourselves to eat. He'll stop at a Timmy's. So all those bills are not there. So this is a low shot on how much it costs. But anyways, it'll give us an idea. And I'll let you know how November goes. And then December. December will be big turkey and roasts and all the rest of it. So there you go. Have a good day and enjoy.